August 12th, 2024 Goffstown Select Board meeting. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, we have the acceptance and corrections of the 7/22/24 public and non-public minutes.
I'll make a motion, we accept the 7/22/24 public and non-public minutes with corrections if need be.
Second.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, I don't know if that's here or not.
Yep, you were.
You were.
Yeah.
Yep. I vote
Motion by
second.
Mark, second by Collis. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And for,
You do have one announcement. that
oh,
we
the
put-
traffic
The
alert.
traffic
Sorry,
alert.
thank you. And this is for a traffic alert in Elm Street detour. The Goffstown Department of Public Works will be detouring all westbound traffic on Elm Street to Maple Ave and Smith Road, continuing Tuesday 8/13 to Friday 8/16. Please expect delays and seek alternative routes. All residents in the work zone will be allowed access to their homes from their respective side of the immediate work area. Please contact DPW, Department of Public Works, at 603-497-3617 with any questions. And again, that's from Tuesday to Friday of this week. Okay. And right now, we'll open it up for public comment. Is there anyone here wishing to speak at public comment? Seeing none,
Is there anyone here?
we will close public comment. Derek, would you like to get started on the town administrator's report, please?
Yes, if you go to tab 6A, you have your committee meeting assignments for the next 2 weeks. Tomorrow night at 5:30 PM, the Village Pedestrian Bridge Ad Hoc Committee will meet at Parks and Rec office.
Yep, I have that.
And then next week, on Wednesday at 6:30 PM, the Library Board of Trustees will be meeting. I'll follow up with Chairman Georgiadis. And at 7 PM, the Parks and Rec Commissioners will meet at Parks and Rec.
And that's Jim, right, I think? Personally? Yeah. that's
Okay.
Jim.
I'll follow up with both of them. At your next tab, you have the consent agenda for this evening. You have employee status reports. You have the resignation of a part-time police crossing guard. You have a rehire of a full-time police dispatcher, a new hire for a per diem EMT, and resignation of a DPW seasonal laborer. You have an off-cycle betterment assessment for the Lynchville Danis Park water line in the amount of $2,108.86. You have appointment papers for the Goffstown River Advisory Committee. These were appointed at your previous meeting. You have event permit for the Worker Bee Fund Beer Tasting Festival on October 19th. This is in the Mast Road parking lot. And then you have cemetery deeds right to inter. You have 4 deeds in the Shirley Hill Cemetery, 1 in the West Lawn Cemetery, and 2 in the West Lawn Expansion Cemetery. And then you also have a corrective deed for one previously issued in the West Lawn Cemetery.
I have a question. What is the Worker Bee Fund? The event permit?
And I believe that's a non-profit organization that does fundraising. And
They do, it's a nonprofit out of Goffstown that does work on veterans' homes.
Oh, thank you.
Make a motion to accept the consensus agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
At your next page, you have assessor recommendations, you have a land use change tax, and a land use change tax warrant for map 5, lot 10.
Motion to approve the assessor's recommendation as presented.
Second.
Motion by Collis, seconded by Mark. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
At tab 6D, you have a budget transfer request from the finance director for a quarterly benefit cash out. Once again, this is the quarterly transfer where we transfer appropriation from the benefit lines into the wage lines for those employees that are able to get insurance from another provider, from a spouse or a parent, and take the cash out through the wages.
So this is pretty standard, nothing unique about this one in
Correct.
particular? Okay, in that case, I'll make a motion to approve the budget transfer request for the reallocation of $50,999.99 from insurance benefits to various wage lines as presented.
Second.
Motion by Collis, seconded by Mark. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
At tab 6E, you have an expense reimbursement from the Capital Reserve Fund. This is the portion for the purchase of property on Henry Bridge Road, map 27, lot 6-1. This was approved previously by the board, and then the closing took place on July 15th. So we're just seeking to have you sign the disbursement voucher that's in the signature folder, and have you move to release the $120,900 from the land acquisition capital reserve fund to offset those expenses.
I'll make a motion to offset the release of $120,000, $20,900 from the land acquisition capital reserve fund to offset the expense incurred in relation to the purchase of map 27, lot 6-2, and reimburse the town's general fund.
Thank you. Motion by Mark.
I will second it, but I will note that I had voted in opposition to the purchase of this property, but this is really just an administrative process to finalize the deal, so I have no problem with this portion of it.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
At your next page, tab 6F, you have a cover memo from Danielle on the MS 535. This is the financial report of the town for the year ending December 31st, 2023. And Danielle, I didn't know if there's anything that you wanted to highlight for the board?
Sure. So each year we typically go through and give you kind of a brief synopsis of where things stand at the end of the year. One thing we want to bring to your attention is the general fund expenditures in the year ending 23. We came in just about 2% below the voted appropriations, which is really close. So that only represents about $500,000. And so you're going to see that impacts the unassigned fund balance that's available for budget planning. Our general fund revenues came in about 13% above what was originally projected. And of that, that's about $900,000, which is good, but that included mostly the state revenues. So your impacts to your meals and rooms tax came in $450,000 above what was expected. Also, we had $250,000 in interest on our investments because the market improved drastically during 2023. So those were some good things. Altogether, you're going to notice that the unassigned fund balance is basically exactly where it was last year. We're basically hovering at $7.5 million. And we anticipate that as the budgets continue to increase from the school and the county and the state, the 2025 budget preparation is going to leave that $7.5 million below the 12% minimum that we typically aim for in the fund balance.
Question, and that's the 12% we need to try to shoot for or stay at, correct?
Correct.
That is set by the policy
Yeah.
that you have adopted.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you, Danielle. And I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the MS 535 as prepared by the town auditing firm Pulaski and Sanderson, PA.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. Thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
At your next tab, tab 6G, you have commodity rates for the upcoming winter and upcoming 2025 budget. Again, Danielle did a great job securing lower rates on pretty much everything. And I would just say there's no action needed by the board because you had already authorized her to sign the contracts. But if you have any questions about that, any of the commodities, if you could.
Are they all generally, they're all 2 years and there's 3 for 1 year? Is that right?
Most of them are actually 1 year.
Okay.
The only one that's a 2-year is the electricity supply. It's a 24-month. And then the propane that you see at the bottom,
yeah, I
we
see.
actually have consecutive contracts. They let us go out a little bit further. So we had already had one locked in through August of 25.
Yeah.
So this new one really took us to that next step to 26.
Okay, great. Any questions?
No.
Good job, Danielle. Thank you. That looks wonderful compared to what we've been seeing. 6H?
Yes, at 6H, you have the proposed 2025-2026 legislative policies and principles that have been provided by the New Hampshire Municipal Association. Again, the New Hampshire Municipal Association is basically the collection of towns, cities, as well as villages throughout New Hampshire, and every 2 years before the new legislature is seated and goes through their 2-year process for passing new laws, they come up with legislative policies and principles that they will go to the legislature to lobby on behalf of their membership. So what you have here in your packet is you have starting on page 32, you have their proposed policies and principles, and then on page 45, what I've done for you is provided you a red line to show what those changes are from the 23 to 24 policies. The changes are pretty minimal, but you know, I'd like you to review these. The New Hampshire Municipal Association gathers on, I think it's September 27th, to vote on these. Every municipality has one vote at the legislative conference. In the past, I had attended on behalf of the board and participated in that conference. The board could again appoint me, or if there was a member that was available and really wanted to go, could go and be the voice of the board. So what I would like you to do is to vote on a delegate to vote on the board's behalf at the Legislative Policy Conference. I'd also like the board to go through and vote whether to support each of the highlighted policies. And then if there's something that you do not support, perhaps you'd wish to direct the delegate what items you want modified, or because there is a discussion as they go through this throughout the day. It's a few hours that you're there to go through all these.
Derek, I know we're down 2 board members, so we can go through this now, but I would like to give Pete and Jim both the opportunity to participate in that vote.
Absolutely, yeah, we can move this forward to your meeting on the 26th.
But I will say, I don't think we have to print this again. We can all just bring our packets.
Okay.
Yep.
If that's okay
Yep.
with everyone, because
That's
this is
fine.
quite a hefty
Yep.
bit of paper in here. That being said, Derek, are you interested in going?
I've reserved the time. I assumed that I'd be going on the board's behalf, and even if there was a board member that did want to go, I would say I would go with you just to kind of be there to support any individual that wanted to be the voting delegate.
Okay. So we'll put that, if we can put that on the agenda with the delegate also, I'll say
Yes.
continue to reserve that time, please,
Yep.
but just to make sure that if Pete and Jim have any desire to attend. I would like to, but I'm not sure that work will allow me that time to leave in the middle of the day, so we'll circle back up on that once it gets closer. But just going through these protections, do you all want to go through it based on the red lines, or are you comfortable with, or any questions on what's been proposed?
I looked at it quick previously, and I mean, I think we should just look at the red lines so we have
Sure.
Yeah.
an idea what the changes were, and
Okay.
unless you want to wait for Peter and Jim, I mean,
And I agree waiting till we have the full board.
yeah,
Makes
I'll
sense.
wait, I'll wait either way,
Yeah.
no problems, Kelly.
Okay.
So, and if any member has, and I'll reach out to Pete and Jim as well, if any member has a question on any of the changes. I did not participate, they have 3 subcommittees that go through each of these and propose these changes that are submitted, they're submitted from the membership, so the towns and cities will submit these. So I did not participate in that process, but I can reach out to NHMA if you have a question about some of the red line changes. If you can just let me know, either give me a call or an email, and I can reach out to NHMA.
Derek, I'm curious, what are the 3 subcommittees?
So they are-
Is
so they're-
it in here?
Well, it's not very apparent. It's highlighted. The first one is general administration and governance.
What
And you'll
page?
see there's different,
Page 45.
then there's finance and revenue under page 49.
And then it's like zoning and planning.
And then the last one I think is like land use, infrastructure development and land use.
Okay.
So they break those up, members, towns will send in their recommendations, and then there's volunteers that go through that to come up with the appropriate language. And then it goes to the full membership for the vote. And again, this helps guide NHMA staff during the next legislative schedule. So they will, when they see a bill, they'll see how it fits in with the policies and principles, and they'll make the decision whether to lobby for or against new legislation, or to have no position on it whatsoever. Because again, if the membership hasn't taken a position on it, NHMA does not, so they really follow those to the letter.
I would say a majority of these, in my opinion, were to protect local government from having the ability to make decisions on their own and protecting funding for municipalities that come from the state. From what I can see, I haven't seen anything outside of that, so. But, okay, we will wait for Peter and Jim for next meeting to go through any questions. Derek, when you reach out to them and you ask if they have any questions, if you could just let them know if they haven't had a chance to look at it, to just try to glance at it before our next meeting.
Yes.
Because it is quite a bit, and then
It
we
is,
have
yep.
to go through it line by line.
Yep.
Okay, we're not quite at 6.
I did have one item that I added that was
Oh,
on
yep, we
the
can do that.
table. And we did repost the agenda both here at Town
I saw
Hall
that,
and
yeah.
on the website. So this is an acceptance of donation under RSA 3195E. You had previously met with Girl Scout Noelle Prince at your meeting in July, your July 8th meeting, and her project was to install equestrian warning signs on Worthley Hill Road and Page Hill Road, because there's 2 equestrian centers there. The board at that meeting unanimously approved the project, but in order to accept the donation, you needed to know what the actual value of that donation was. So this is on the background information, but for the benefit of anybody watching. Town meeting in 1994 granted the authority to the select board to accept personal property donated to the town in accordance with RSA 3195E. When the value is less than $5,000, there is not a public hearing required. It does have to appear on a posted agenda. So we took care of that today to add that on. And what you have attached is the quote for the 5 custom signs, as well as the galvanized post, the 12-foot post that will be needed to install these. So the request this evening is for the board to accept the donation of the 5 warning signs and signposts with an approximate value of $905.75.
And I'll make a motion to accept the donation of 5 equestrian warning signs and signposts from Girl Scout Noelle Prince, as part of her Silver Award project with an approximate value of $905.75 in accordance with New Hampshire RSA 31:95E.
Second,
Motion by Collis, seconded by Mark. Any other questions or comments? Derek, I just had one question. I know Adam was going to work with her once the signs came in for install.
Yes.
Did they talk about that already?
They have
He's
been, they have
good
been
with the
talking,
signs
he
and all
had,
that?
he had
Okay.
met with her to kind of go over the 5 locations that make the
Wonderful.
most sense to install them.
Okay.
So
And
I
I think
will,
there was a question of whether they can be co-located on existing signposts. So we
yeah, and
don't-
unfortunately, there were no existing
Okay.
signposts.
Okay.
That's actually quite a big piece of the expense, but yeah,
Okay.
there were no existing signposts where they could co-locate.
Okay, great. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. So we're not quite to the public hearing time, so we can move on to 8C, the action matrix. Derek, any updates on the Goffstown Police Station?
I'm still working on the RFP development. At the last meeting, we had talked that it'd be appropriate to go out for a police station space needs study or analysis. So I have seen a couple of samples that some other New Hampshire towns have used, and we're just trying to craft it. I'm hoping to have that to you for approval on August 26th.
Okay.
So that we can put it out and then have firms respond back to that request.
Great. And Kennedy Hill Road, any updates on that?
So yes, the building permit continues to be an active building permit for the single-family residents out there, and I've met with the building inspector to ask him to do routine monitoring of the roadway, because he's the one that's going to be out there most often, and if he sees any significant changes, to come and make me aware of it.
Significant changes to,
The road,
you mean the physical road?
the
as it is
physical
right
road,
now?
yeah, and any of the tree cutting or anything within the right-of-way.
Do we know exactly where the right-of-way is? I mean,
We
has
do
it-
not.
Has been field located? No?
We do not have a survey
Okay.
of that area.
I have a question as well.
Mhm.
So as far as all the piled material, trees, branches, is there any way we can get him to remove that or take that away? I mean, reduce the fire hazard if and when, we have dry conditions. I mean, that's quite a significant,
I can reach out to him about the piled debris within the right-of-way, absolutely, and talk to him about removing that. Anything on his own property,
yeah, we
that'd
can't,
be,
we have no control over that.
yeah, that would be up to the fire marshal to actually do something. But yes, I can meet with him, he's been responsive when I've reached out in the
Okay,
past.
thank you.
So is the end game to upgrade it to a Class 5 roadway at some point?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
You've granted authority for the building permit on the Class 6 road, and
Yeah.
you had granted him the ability to access his lot, but no,
So as he's doing work on this roadway within a town right-of-way, town property, it's my expectation it would be built according to our town roadway standards. Is that the way?
well,
you're seeing it?
normally we wouldn't allow any additional work to it other than access to the property, much like many of the Class 6 roads up on the mountain, where people will use it for access to their lots, but they're not actually constructing it to town standards.
So it's a driveway, really.
It's very similar to a driveway, yes, within the town right of way.
Any other questions? And then, Derek, has there been any update to the grant? Have they submitted?
The last I had heard from the fire chief was, because it's a rolling application, they were finalizing it for submittal, but I can
Yeah.
check with the fire chief and get whether, what the exact status is.
Just an update for the next
Yeah.
meeting would be great.
I actually do have an update.
Oh,
on
do you?
that. I know that they did the submission because they had actually reached back out to us and asked for some additional financial documents for us
Okay.
to support the application, which we provided to them 2 weeks ago. So I believe they're
okay.
just waiting to hear from the entity on what their final decision is.
Okay, great.
Have we heard anything back on the ambulance with the New Hampshire Primex? Have they,
Yes. Yep, we do have an update on that as well. Ambulance 2 has been reviewed, and the appraisal came in on Friday, And today, the fire department had Duval's tow it down to the repair shop, which is in Massachusetts, and they told us that they have the parts on site, but it's gonna take at least 2 to 3 months to actually complete all of the repairs.
Wow, yep.
So they're working on getting a loaner that they could lease on a month-to-month basis. So we're working with them on that, and then Primex would cover up to $5,000 for the rental in the meantime, in addition to the repairs.
So I would, or it's safe to say that the frame is not bent?
From what they can tell at this point, that's correct. They know that the axle was broken, but the frame itself appears to be intact.
Okay.
Once they get it up on the lift in the shop and do further examination, they'll be able to converse back and forth with Primex if anything else is discovered.
So that was all front-end damage, right? Front
Oh, yeah.
quarter.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's significant, but
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, the box doesn't appear to be damaged in any way.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business or old business to discuss?
No, I think the only other thing for perhaps old business, I know Selectman Adams had a question about the status of our minute takers. We have been working with staff here and the transcripts from the YouTube videos to get the minutes completed since Gail left, but we are going to be putting out an ad this week seeking to get multiple minute takers. And I talked to a couple members of the planning board, and they expressed their desire to have a minute taker. So we're going to put out the ad to get a couple of them in here for the select board, the zoning board, conservation planning.
Okay.
then we're gonna put together a list of qualifications or job responsibilities, you know, the typical stuff for,
Yeah, so in the past, it has not been an employer-employee relationship. We've done it as a contracted position,
Yeah.
and they need to adhere to what the contract is with timeliness of submittal, the level of information. We are really focused on those action items when boards take motions, and to capture the, I guess, the gist of the conversation, not necessarily verbatim, but yes.
but that'll be clearly laid out for folks, so they know what
Yes.
they're getting into, what the
Yep.
time commitment is, and.
Yes,
Great.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Derek, do you know how many we're looking to get?
Ideally, I would get at a minimum 2. Just, I know that we were very fortunate over the last probably 10 to 15 years where we had primarily one person covering majority of our meetings, but I think it would be benefit us to have more than one.
Do you think it would be possible when we post that to send it out to all the different committees in case there are people on those committees who could
Yep.
just take minutes for those meetings?
Yeah, we can work with Kathy Ball, because she has, for what she has on record, and work with the staff liaisons to share that with them as well. That way, if any committee members that are already acting on it and feel they can do both, they can definitely put in their information.
That would be great. That might
Yeah.
grab us,
That'd be a big help.
even
Yep.
just for a couple here and there,
Yeah.
or on a per diem basis. Okay, so up next we have our public hearing, so I'll just go ahead and start reading all of our opening information for the public hearing. We're in tab 7. And this is for the adoption of ordinance, proposed Church Street neighborhood 25-mile-per-hour speed limit ordinance, and that's pursuant to RSA 41:14-B. The Goffstown Select Board is holding the second of 2 public hearings on August 12, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at Goffstown Town Hall, 16 Main Street, Goffstown, New Hampshire, to accept public input pertaining to the adoption of the proposed Church Street neighborhood speed limit ordinance. If enacted, the entire lengths of Church Street, Clinton Street, Depot Street, and Kendall Hadley Row and White Street would have a maximum speed limit of 25 miles per hour at all times. A vote on the proposed ordinance is scheduled for Monday, August 26, 2024. This ordinance shall be known and may be cited as the Church Street Neighborhood Speed Limit Ordinance of the Town of Goffstown. The authority, RSA 265:63, alteration of limits, 41:14-B, adoption of amendment of town codes and ordinances. Declaration of purpose to ensure safe passage of vehicles, pedestrians, bicyclists, and other users along the entire length of Church Street, Clinton Street, Depot Street, Kendall Hadley Row and White Street in said Goffstown. The speed limit thereon shall be a maximum of 25 miles per hour at all times unless specifically excluded below. The enforcing authority would be the Goffstown Police Department, and penalties would follow in accordance. The waivers, the select board retain the authority to waive any or all provisions of this ordinance for emergencies by doing so at a duly noted meeting. Okay, so at this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this ordinance? Okay, are you sure, both of you? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Collis or Mark, do you have any questions?
I do not. No, thank
Any
you.
discussion on this? Okay. And that being said, we will be taking a vote on August 26th, 2024, on the adoption of this ordinance. Okay. We'll open it up for one final public comment. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak for public comment? Seeing none, we will close public comment, and I will take a motion. Derek and Danielle, anything to add before?
No.
Okay.
I'll take a motion to go into non-public session, RSA 91A:3, Roman numeral 2. For A is compensation, C is adversely affects reputation of any person other than members of the public body itself.
And if you could add B, hiring as well.
B, hiring.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. It's a roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, this concludes the public portion of tonight's meeting, and thank you for joining us.